Hey guys, welcome back to ADHD Answers, our weekly Facebook Live where we talk all things ADHD, give you guys some answers to any and all of your ADHD questions. Um, let's kick it off. I'll wait a few seconds for some people to drop in. Some quick announcements. If you're new here, welcome. I do this every Monday at noon. I post reminders on my Facebook page. So if you have any questions and you cannot attend live, just comment in those pictures in the comment section of the picture on my page for the day, and just write in whatever your question is. If it's personal, you can message or email me, and I will answer it in that day's Facebook Live. So some more like housekeeping, as it were. I did a seminar on ADHD strengths and conditioning where I talked all things ADHD. Did that in North Carolina, in Greensboro. That was a large success. I was really happy with the way it turned out. I recorded it all, and I'm going to transcribe it and kick it out to you guys as an ebook for you guys to read. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm going to try to get that transcribed, or at least the process of starting it to be transcribed started by the end of the month, which is actually Wednesday. So maybe, hopefully, by the end of February, the ebook will be live, and it'll be free for you guys to peruse, read, and have as a resource in case you have more questions, something pops up you want to refer back to. That'll be a great resource for you guys. Other housekeeping. Oh yeah, our new ADHD class starts on Wednesday. So we have one ADHD class already, and it's full Tuesday and Thursday, ADHD Strength and Conditioning, where these classes are structured for your ADHD children to move, learn, and grow about their ADHD and help them and really give them the best medicine that y'all's doctors are prescribing, which is movement and exercise. So that class has been a large success. It was full before our first day, and I was going to let you guys know that we actually had 2 spots left. But as I was watching that clock to start this noon Facebook Live, I got 2 emails asking for more information and for their son and daughter to have a spot in the class. So that class may be full. Sorry about that. If you guys were looking into getting your child into that, message me anyways. I'm going to start a wait list, and if I have enough on a wait list, then I will kick it out to the wait list on what times and days would work best for you all, and then we'll go from there, and hopefully we can start an additional class. And of course, if we have a child that drops out for whatever reason, like a sport comes up and that time doesn't work for them, then what we can do is go down that wait list and say, hey, a spot's opened on this Tuesday class, this Tuesday, Thursday class, or hey, this class now has an opening on my Monday, Wednesday class, Monday, Wednesday slot. So don't hesitate to email me, and I'll keep you in a wait list. The last announcement is I have opened up, if you guys contacted me about me seeing your child or yourself about ADHD, you know that my days at the office are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which can be really helpful for some families and can be absolutely out of the question for others. So I have opened up Tuesdays and Thursdays at the practice to see additional clients. My availability on those days is 10:30 to 2:30. Which gives me just enough time to change and get over to that ADHD class across town. So yeah, excuse me. If that helps you and you're interested, feel free to email me, and we'll schedule a time to meet. And if not, then we'll work something else out. Okay, that's all of the housekeeping that I have. So today we're going to talk about ADHD testing. That is a question that I get a lot, and I don't know why I haven't done a Facebook Live on the topic, but I'm going to do it today. So what does ADHD testing look like? How can you get testing for your child or yourself to know definitively if you do or do not have ADHD? And the gold standard is taking a history of the child, taking a history of both parents, taking a history of all grandparents and listening to that story, to their story, to each parents' story, and seeing if you can't find common themes. Of course, if you bring a 5-year-old, they're not going to have a huge history to pull from. But if mom and dad come in and both of them bring in their report cards from when they were in middle school, and all of them have similar themes. One of the things that I hear most common is if Johnny just tried, or if Johnny just focused a little bit more, if Johnny tried harder, if Johnny could sit still. And of course, if it's a female, it's chatty, daydreamer. And sometimes if they're not hyper, that's what it'll say too. If these teacher comments on these report cards are consistent throughout some of or most of the parent's academic career, we can pretty easily draw some conclusions that ADHD may be a thing. But if in both parents there's none of that, and not to say that if the parents were successful in school, then they don't have ADHD. That's not true. But it's really these observations. So if we have those observations of the child and of the parents, parents, and we can actually get some, have a conversation with grandparents and say, hey, what was dad like growing up? And if we have that information, we can draw even better conclusions. So if we take this whole history of the entire family, it's really the best way to pinpoint exactly what is going on in this child, or what may be going on in this child. Of course, from there, if we just get a resounding, oh, he sits still, and I can't imagine why they would bring him in if there was no little red flags. But then it may be something else that we can look at. Maybe he's just very, very anxious, and that anxiety is causing him to have some ADHD-like traits. Maybe he's not sleeping at all, and no one knows it, and we haven't asked these questions, and we realize that the client goes to bed and then wakes up 30 minutes later and has never told anyone that he's just up all night. And then his behavior and attitude looks really similar to someone that could be diagnosed as ADHD. From there, what we want to take some rating scales and some assessments for the child. And that can be done in a number of different ways. The way that I do it at my practice is we use a system called DefiniPoint that a gentleman from Roanoke actually created. And if you guys want to learn more about it, I'm just going to glaze through it real quick and tell you how it works. If you guys want to go in depth on how the system works, I interviewed him on a separate podcast from these Facebook Lives, and he talked all about why and how he started this company. But what DefiniPoint does is it combines and pulls in all of the most used and highest standards of rating scales and assessments. And from there, I can send out these assessments via email and electronically to any kind of collateral contacts that the parents may want input from. So both parents, grandparents, if they're heavily involved, any teachers that are involved, and we can collate all of this data and look at everyone's perspective of this child, and we can hopefully see common themes. And if there's common issues that everyone is seeing, that'll help us draw even better conclusions that yes, this child may have ADHD. And of course, if they're all over the place, which can happen. If the child loves music and I send it to the music teacher and she's like, no, I don't even know why you're sending me this. The child's an absolute angel. But then we send it to the math teacher and she's like, yeah, obviously he has ADHD, which happens, but that's not wasted information. To me, that's like, oh, this is something that he really, really enjoys. How do we use that as a strength? You guys know I operate from a strength-based approach. So now I know music is a strength and he loves that. How can we use that to help him? That's beside the point. So we're using these rating scales to help narrow down what's going on in this child's life. And it's really, really helpful, just like taking that verbal history. It's really, really helpful to have as many people as we can kind of give input from. It's harder in elementary school because we just have that one teacher, but he or she usually has a really, really good understanding of what's going on because they're there all day. It's when they get older that we can really kind of tease out, no, Johnny has no issues in music class, but in English, he hates it and he doesn't like it, and that's something that he really struggles with. And math is like, he's okay. He can kind of focus, but every now and then he like randomly gets up and walks around the room and he doesn't know why. So getting that information from all these different collateral contacts is super helpful and super important. And I would say that is my approach to diagnosing. Of course, I have ADHD myself, so I have a very, very special gift. It's like ADHD radar that I can tell after interacting with the child, with the parents, listen to both parents. It's kind of like a sixth sense where I'm like, we need to do some. It's never equivocally like, all right, yeah, he's done. No, it's I have a suspicion, or I'm seeing what they're seeing immediately, and so now let's get that history. So now let's do these rating scales, and that's just my personal thing that I can do because I have ADHD too. So if I see myself in a lot of these kids, that's really helpful for me to draw some conclusions, and that's more evidence for me to ask for these rating scales to be done and ask for parents to come in to get this verbal history from them. From there, things get a little bit more complicated. What we're seeing now that is coming, and I don't know when it's coming to Roanoke. Roanoke is a little further behind the times than everywhere else. And what we're seeing is some neurofeedback stuff. This neurofeedback is like a helmet, and it goes on your head, and it reads your brain waves, and it reads brain activity. And what we're seeing is some commonalities of using this to help diagnose anyone, children or adults. Whether or not this is 100% accurate, we don't know yet. I think there are some people that are like, yeah, of course it's accurate. And I've seen some people even already marketing products to diagnose using this. This technology is very new. I am not 100% sold that the current technology is there yet. However, in 5 years and in definitely the next decade, this will be probably the new gold standard of diagnosing. I don't know if that's a decade in Roanoke time or not, but it's coming, and I think that'll help us draw some better conclusions. However, I don't know how that's going to work with at the seminar that I did this weekend. We talked about basically how our society is making ADHDers, and whether or not someone is truly ADHD is going to be harder and harder to tell. And we know that if we have children with tablets in front of their faces and that constant stimulus, then yeah, we can create an ADHDer. So could those neurofeedback things pick up the distinguishing factors of, no, this is just constant need for stimulus because they've been getting one, or a search for stimulus like an ADHDer is, I'm looking for something to stimulate me, as opposed to this is something that I always have, this constant drip of dopamine. And now I need more of that. We don't know. And I don't think a lot of these neurofeedback devices and tests know yet either. And that's totally fine. That's how technology works, is trial and error. But if you can find a place that does it and you're interested, then I would go for it and see what happens. More information is always better. Of course, I wouldn't say just go get that neurofeedback test and then you'll know for sure. Not yet. In a decade, I'll probably be saying that. Right now, no. Do everything else that I told you about, and then do that. Even if you're still on the fence, then definitely do it. And I think that'll help you really nail down what's going on with your child or with yourself. All right. Does anyone have any questions? That's all I wanted to talk about today was ADHD testing and how to go about doing these tests. There are a few people in Roanoke that do this for children. If you are interested in having your child assessed, let me know and I can point you into those directions. I can do it myself. Or if you're more comfortable with somebody else, I do have other contacts that can do that as well. As long as you guys are getting some help, then I'm good to go. So reach out to me if you guys have questions about that stuff. And of course, if you guys have any questions as you're watching this video hours and hours and days later, comment below. I'll get a message and I'll get an answer to you as quick as I can. Of course, we do this every Monday at noon. Be on the lookout. At around 7 is when I post a reminder that we're going live at noon. And you can comment your questions in that post and I'll get it answered after I talk about the topic. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. If you don't have any other questions for me, then you're good to go. If you need anything from me, let me know. Email, comment on a post, or call the office, and I will get you an answer as quick as I can. All right, guys, that's it for me. Have a great day, and we'll see you again next week.